let's cut the BS, he continued, and started speaking honestly. And if you vote for a man who says what he said today, he explained, that the white nationalists were the victims, that he equated George Washington and Thomas Jefferson with Robert E. Lee, and said that the people who were trying to stop the racism, the anti-racism protesters, that they were the violent ones, that they were, it just went too far. But I'm telling you, that's very powerful and uncomfortable the share, Lemon said, and people will think that you are comparing Trump voters to racist. Racist to rapist. Yeah, he says, this is uncomfortable, isn't it, Moore said? That is uncomfortable, Lemon responded. Yeah, because enablers of immoral behavior, of criminal behavior, Moore explained, is absolutely criminal to stand behind the people that killed Heather Heyer, that beat the heads in of people who were trying, to speak their minds in Charlottesville. And if you put Donald Trump in office, you need to think about this before you kneel down and say your prayers tonight, he said. So Donald Trump killed Heather Heyer. I mean, that's pretty much what I get out of it. And that he condoned their behavior and said it was okay. He was making light of the obvious. This was supposed to be a peaceful protest. Why is it okay for folks to come out for abortion, okay? And to me, you're killing innocent children. And, somebody gets hurt, somebody gets roughed up, nobody says anything about it. But then in racism, again, it's a serious thing, okay? It's a serious thing. My point is, these people largely were peaceful and weren't doing anything wrong other than that they had an opinion that a lot of Americans don't hold. Certainly could anger people, certainly could frustrate people. They had signs, they were chanting whatever they wanted to chant, they made their presence known. But violence, no matter what, is not tolerated. And the reason it got out of control is because the police were not equipped to handle the situation in Charlottesville. It was a power keg, and they should have known that this was going to exacerbate, get out of control, and indeed it did. And a lady died, some officers in a chopper died, a lot of people got roughed up. It was a very sad situation. A very bad thing. People will get riled up. People will get upset. But you don't put these people head to head where these people can get at each other. Because a lot of this stuff is political. A lot of this stuff fell on the politicians. And this doesn't need to be repeated again. We have to be very careful. I said this yesterday and moving forward. So it's just interesting to hear because a lot of people like Michael Moore. They think Michael Moore is funny. But this is really echoed over at The View. Whoopi Goldberg, a lot of these folks, they believe this stuff. The daytime TV folks that sit home, a lot of them that watch The View and all this and hear this stuff spewed out, people believe this. People hook, line, and sinker eat this. And I was talking to a guy who works in the airline business, one of my clients, and he's white like I am, and he was in the Charlottesville area. And he said he was nervous. And I said, well, why are you nervous? And he says, because some people are acting pretty funny towards me. After all of the stuff that went down, am I one of those? I mean, he's, I'm not going to mention what airline, but, he's been flying for a long time. Guy's stand-up guy, clean cut, educated, loves flying, loves his job, good at what he does. And this is the climate now. You cannot ostracize and put everybody in the same exact box. By the way, there's racists on all sides. I've met Mexicans that don't like white people. I've met white people that don't like Mexicans. Not a surprise. I've met black people that don't like Chinese people, and so on and so forth. Racism has always been there. This is nothing new. Nothing new at all. And a lot of my audience knows this. A lot of America knows this. I mean, please, people like to make more of what this is. They want to make it more, and that the symbols are going to upset them because the symbolism of the things that the Civil War stood for and these figureheads, that they didn't like it because it really invoked the Old South and slavery and cotton fields and all of that other stuff. It is sad. And as a white guy, I have ingested a lot of the history. I wasn't around back then, but I've talked to the old folks that did pick cotton back in Mississippi. There in Tunica, where a bunch of casinos are now. I talked to some old timers. I've watched a lot of movies, read a lot of books about it. I'm not proud of that, but the statue standing, most people don't think anything of it. And now people are making such a big deal out of it. Again, we have to learn from our history so we don't do this again. We had Evita King on television, watched her. She doesn't think that Donald Trump, this is the sister, okay, an icon of America on television, African American, okay? How you can't get more civil rights than Evita King. All right, other than, okay? She says that she doesn't believe that he's racist, and she understood where Trump was coming from. Evita King, you got to look at the YouTube video. Very supportive of our president, and I believe that Dr. King would be very supportive of our president, too. On both speeches, I played them yesterday, and I did that because I didn't hear anything racist about it. He condemned the violence. When you call out the elephant in the room and just say, look, these are bad people, yes, but we have this little thing called the Constitution. It's kind of a big deal. We have to protect these people. The ACLU is protecting these people, folks. They've come to their rescue to say these people have a right to voice what they want to say, even if people disagree with it. That is our right. That's what our soldiers fight for, to keep this alive for all Americans. When it got violent, then everything fell apart. And a lot of people just went into and again, I'm not defending white supremacy or Ku Klux Klan or anything. This stuff, it's crazy. It's mayhem. Again, just when you think things were calming down just a little bit, this is just another thing now that people are going to have to sift through, and how long this is going to, until something else happens and dominates the news cycle. But this gives them some new fodder to talk about. Let's change gears, shall we? Ted Nugent. He charged that the NRA link is keeping him from being voted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And he was on radio station WQBK in Albany, New York last week, and I listened to the interview. Nugent, who did the August 10th interview to promote his show in Poughkeepsie, New York, talked about his band, his career, talked about the National Rifle Association in the interview. And Nugent claimed that Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Foundation member Juan Weiner is personally preventing him from receiving the honor, citing his 20-plus years on the NRA board. He says he hates the Second Amendment. Nugent told the radio station, he hates me because I am on the board of directors of the National Rifle Association, and I couldn't be more proud of that because the NRA is the ultimate family, grassroots organization that fights for the rights to defend ourselves. See, folks, people don't like the First Amendment. People don't like the Second Amendment. But, folks, it's to protect us all. Even the skinheads, even the Ku Klux Klan, even the neo-Nazis and all these fringe groups, and there's so many of them that the Southern Poverty Law Center has been monitoring these people for years. Some groups they label are not hate groups, but because it's their conscience that they speak. But, when you got hatred in your heart, folks, that's just human beings. That's people just not in their right minds or have been taught this way from somebody else that's planted these ideas in their head. But I always thought it was kind of sad. But, this is the right. I mean, Madonna gets inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame before Ted Nugent? Are you kidding me? Well, yeah, it's happened. And ABBA, the dancing queen. Ted Nugent rocked it. ABBA, I never heard rock it. I mean, I really did. My dad liked ABBA. It was I think they had other songs besides the dancing queen. Yeah, they held their own for a while, but they were inducted. But no Ted Nugent, no Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And he's basically to say, look, I've inducted myself. I listened to the interview, and he says, we're already in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because I have sold millions of albums, and people still come. We sell out. And I think he was telling me he's been counting his concerts. And that's pretty impressive for Ted Nugent. Even if you're not even a fan, for his feat. He says, I'm getting ready to play my 6,725th show. And I thought to myself, wow. Counts every single one of them, still rocking in his late 60s. Good for him. I know the Rolling Stones are a lot older, and they literally look like Rolling Stones, by the way. Have you seen Keith Richards? Mick Jagger, too. But hey, you know what? If they're having fun and people still come out to the show to enjoy a good show, why not? Music is terrific. It may not sound as good as 20 years ago, but they're more refined, right? It's cool because, they switch up, with instruments. They funk it up a little bit, a little different take on it, so it doesn't sound exactly the same. They didn't want to because they realized they changed. But anyways, buy a Ted Nugent album, listen to some of his latest stuff. He still got it. He still got it. By the way, Mitt Romney's still pretty bitter over losing, and he doesn't like Donald Trump much at all. But he had to weigh in. Mitt Romney yesterday rejected President Donald Trump's statement. He rejected it. He said, "I reject his speech. Both sides were responsible for the violence in Charlottesville, Virginia." No, not the same. One side is racist, bigoted, Nazi. The other opposes racism and bigotry. Morally different universes. One did stand up, but they had baseball bats. They were egging him on in a big way and had weapons on them, which they should have never had. Again, you got to blame the police on this one, largely speaking, and the mayor of Charlottesville. They screwed this one up. It's McCain the Maverick. There's no moral equivalency between racist and Americans standing up to defy hate and bigotry. The president of the United States should say so as well. Trump held an impromptu press conference at Trump Tower. As you know, doubled down on his initial statements regarding the violence in Charlottesville, blamed many sides for it, which started when white nationalists clashed with counter-protest. And the president also slammed the alt-left for violently confronting the white nationalist groups, which they shouldn't have done to begin with. I mean, come on, folks. I don't know about you, but I don't think I want to confront the KKK, go against them, or the Black Panther group. If they're having a protest, I don't think I want to pick up a baseball bat if I think I'm going to get whacked down with it. I mean, come on. What are you thinking? Did anybody want this to get violent? I mean, if you bring a baseball bat to a protest, what do you think's going to happen? again, you can't tell the truth today. People don't want to hear the truth. Again, protect